Hello, grade 10, and welcome to a new reading comprehension lecture. We're still in the theme of sports and recreation, but this time we're going to a different part of recreation other than sports, namely online gaming. The lesson is called, Does Your Child Have Fortnite Fever? Okay, first of all, let's answer the following discussion questions. Which type of recreation phenomenon has swept the world in the last decade? Okay, we all know that the internet has been dominating the world for more than a decade now, for a long period of time, and it's increasing its domination. So now most of our recreation is through the internet, especially during times of quarantine. We found that children, teenagers in China and other countries that experienced lockdown, Lebanon, Europe, couldn't go out, couldn't play sports, couldn't do anything physical outside the house, so they resorted to online video games. They were playing video games, of course, before that, but now it has increased drastically. So which type of recreation phenomena has swept the world in the last decade? Obviously online gaming, especially during now it has increased, it has surged due to the coronavirus lockdown. Which age groups are mostly affected by it and why? We know the age group pre-adolescents, we also call them tweens, and teens or teenagers. Those are the ones mostly affected. Give 2 reasons why online games are addictive to teens and pre-adolescents or preteens. Well, first of all, it's very appealing, it's very compelling. They play with their friends. When their friend is maybe in another country or another region, they communicate. There's a sense of competition, there's a sense of excitement in those online video games, especially the one that we're going to talk about today, which is Fortnite. List 2 advantages and 2 disadvantages of online gaming. We know advantages: entertainment, it brings people together, and psychologists, now psychiatrists and psychologists say that it improves the function of the brain, it improves your neurons, it enhances them, it teaches you multitasking because you have to do several things at the same time in an online game. Disadvantages: addiction, loss of time, and feelings of disorientation. We know many people, me as a teacher, I know many of my students who told me that they played for hours and hours and hours and they were unaware that it was already morning. So again, this would lead to poor academic performance, of course, loss of appetite, and other psychological illnesses. Words and terms to know. This is part of your vocab list for the unit. This is the last part. A pediatrician, as we said before, is a doctor specializing in children and their diseases. Neurons are nerve cells. Cognitive, of or relating to the mind and thinking. Children's cognitive abilities are said to improve when they play video games. This is an example. Fickle. Fickle means changes frequently. This was also related to football. Tween. This is a newly used word. It refers to preteen children, like those who are between 9 and 12. Those are tweens. Okay, now to our lesson. Does your child have Fortnite fever? This article was written in September 12, 2018. If you are a parent of a tween, teen or college-age child, chances are you've heard of Fortnite Battle Royale, the video game that's taken over the internet. Free and available across multiple gaming platforms, Fortnite drops 100 competitors on an island to search for weapons and other resources, build defensive structures, and defeat opponents in an interminable journey to become the last player standing. Notice how the author started with an interesting fact. In less than a year, Fortnite grew to 125 million players. Remember, this is 2018. With more than 40 million logging in to play every month. Seemingly countless blog posts and news stories have been dedicated to its popularity and how many players can't seem to put it down. We talked to UNC healthcare pediatrician Jeffrey Ryan, MD, MD means medical doctor, about what parents should know about the health effects of video games such as Fortnite. Okay, now let's begin. First subtitle, Your Brain on Fortnite. Dr. Ryan says that anytime you play something, whether it's video games, a sport, or the piano, parts of the brain will be stimulated and the neurons in the part of the brain will grow. So this is good for the brain cells. It helps them grow. If you're playing more visual, spatial activities such as Fortnite, you know that it's a very visual, spatial game, you'll have more growth in the visual, spatial parts of the brain, Dr. Ryan says. These parts of the brain relate to your ability to visualize and manipulate objects, such as imagining what a space or shape looks like in your mind. So it enhances your imagination. These types of skills are helpful for an archaeologist, an engineer, or a surgeon, Dr. Ryan says. Also, Fortnite is a third-person shooter game, meaning the players view the action as if they are behind the characters they are controlling. Research has shown that first and third-person shooter games can be powerful brain training tools that can improve such cognitive skills, mind skills, as visual attention, concentration, navigation, multitasking, meaning doing several things at the same time, and task switching between the tasks, all while increasing speed and accuracy. So notice in 4, 5, 6, and 7, we are listing advantages of online video games. But here, the contrast, research has also linked playing violent video games with depression in children. Now, the other part, Fortnite meltdown. Okay, notice from the subtitle, we're going to talk about the disadvantages. In addition to the physical changes in the brain your child can experience while playing video games, he may experience emotional changes, feelings. Dr. Ryan says that kids, especially younger ones, experience constant stimulation. Their brain is always stimulated. Their heart rate and blood pressure increase. They are hyper-aroused, means super-aroused. When you take that away, you have overstimulated kid who has a hard time regulating his emotion, Dr. Ryan says. They get agitated, they're just jittery. When they aren't allowed to do it anymore, it's sort of an addiction. I think most of us as parents see that with kids even after an hour of Fortnite. Is your child addicted to video games? So this is what this part will talk about. One of the signs of true addictiveness is that you need more and more time to get the same level of pleasure and you lose friends over it. Your grades will fail because of it, but no matter the consequence, you continue the behavior, Dr. Ryan says. If it becomes harder and harder to take your child away from the game and it's interfering with their life, that is cause for concern. It means you should be worried. And it may be time to see a counselor. Your brain releases dopamine when playing video games. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter that helps control the brain's reward and pleasure centers. The release of dopamine prompts the brain to crave more. It's similar to the same feeling you get when you gamble or eat a candy bar. So that's where there could be the potential for addiction. Okay, so it's dormant. That addiction is dormant and it may come up. But the dopamine released during gaming is not more than these other activities, Dr. Ryan says. If your child wants to play video games and ignore other activities, even if there is a negative impact, such as losing friends or getting in trouble, he may need to break from video games. Dr. Ryan says that if your child is using gaming to calm anxiety or deal with depression, even if he's not addicted, you should talk to your doctor or counselor. Now, comprehension questions based on the article. List 4 positive results of playing Fortnite on the brain by referring to paragraphs 4 and 7. We already talked about them. Stimulate neurons and help the part of the brain grow. It improves Fortnite itself. It improves your ability to visualize, manipulate objects. It enhances your visual spatial parts of your brain. These types of skills are helpful to archaeologists and engineers or surgeons. It improves cognitive skills such as visual attention, concentration. Here's a whole list. Navigation, multitasking, and task switching, all while increasing speed accuracy. Okay, so in paragraph 7, the author is listing the different positive effects of Fortnite. If I were to ask you, for example, for the pattern of organization in paragraph 7, it's obviously listing. Number 2, what are 2 negative effects of the game on the emotional health of children, on their feelings? According to paragraphs 8 and 9, which I displayed here, okay, they may experience emotional changes, especially the younger ones. Constant stimulation when playing video games, their heart rate and blood pressure will increase. They are super aroused, hyper aroused. And when you take away a game from an overstimulated child, they become jittery, they become agitated. Okay, now organizational skills questions, very important. Number 1, to whom is the article addressed? Who is the author talking to? What was your clue? Obviously, the article was clearly addressed to parents of teens and tweens. First of all, what was my clue? First of all, the title is, Does Your Child Have Fortnite Fever? This is the main clue. Also, in the introduction, the author begins by saying, if you are the parent of a tween, teen, or college-age child, chances are you've heard of Fortnite Battle Royale, the video game that's taken over the internet. So those are 2 clues that the article is addressed to the audience of parents of teens, tweens, and college students. Number 2, how are the following paragraphs thematically related? Thematic relationship. Paragraph 4 and 5. Let's see. Paragraph 4, Dr. Ryan, who's the pediatrician, says that anytime you play something, whether it's a video game, a sport, or the piano, parts of the brain will be stimulated and the neurons in that part will grow. That part of the brain will grow. Let's see paragraph 5. If you're playing more visual spatial activities such as Fortnite, you'll have more growth in the visual spatial parts. Dr. Ryan says these parts of the brain relate to your ability to visualize, manipulate objects, etc. So what the author is doing here is obviously addition and support, and he's giving an example. So the thematic relationship between paragraphs 4 and 5 is one of addition and support, and this is how you should answer it. The thematic relationship between paragraphs 4 and 5 is idea, addition, and support. In paragraph 4, now you gave me the type of relation, now tell me how. In paragraph 4, the author states how when a person plays something such as the piano or video games, the neurons in that part of the brain will grow. Then in paragraph 5, he talks about how when you play Fortnite, a visual spatial game, you will have more growth in the visual spatial part of your brain. Addition and support. Okay, so this is the end of our lecture. The homework, which will be posted as worksheet on the app. Answer exercises A, 1 and 4 only. We answered 2 and 3. B, C, D, and E. They are also found on page 83 of your ebook. Okay, now thank you for listening and see you during the Zoom Live. Bye.